Hi, I'm Jessica Dolce, and I'll be facilitating the class Practicing Compassionate Badassery for One Spirit. For the last 20 years, I've been working in animal welfare, and for the past decade, my focus has been on supporting the people who do that work, helping the helpers. I'm a certified compassion fatigue educator and coach, and I'm also an adjunct instructor at the University of Florida Shelter Medicine program. I created something called the Compassion in Balance program, which is an online learning platform that's designed to support animal welfare professionals and veterinary medicine practitioners around the issues of empathic distress, secondary trauma, burnout, and resilience. In 2021, I contributed to the module on self-care for spiritual counselors for One Spirit's interspiritual companioning and counseling program. And from what I hear, the students really enjoyed my take on self-care. And so I was invited to create this class for you all. So I'm really excited to bring something that I really enjoy teaching to everybody. And that is something that I refer to as practicing compassionate badassery. So what I know is that when we work or volunteer as a helper or as a caregiver in our personal lives, that takes a lot of skill, it takes a lot of compassion, and often it takes quite a bit of courage to show up, to be of service, to help those who may be struggling or suffering, whether that's animals or other people or the planet. In particular, I think it takes a tremendous amount of courage to show up, even when we can't always fix it, we can't always make it right, and when we can never predict the outcome of our efforts. So the work you might be doing, showing up in this way, caring for others, is a form of practicing compassionate badassery. What we know from the research is that there are real costs to caring in this way. Right? Many of us have experienced empathic distress, burnout, moral distress as occupational hazards of the type of work or volunteering that we're doing. What we also know is that there's deep joy and satisfaction, a sense of purpose, meaningfulness that we're also able to access through the work that we're doing caring for others, right? It's a real privilege to bear witness to and be a part of others' lives as they heal or move on or as we hold space for them. What I know is that if we want to reduce the costs of caring and really stay connected to the aspects of the work that sustain us, we're going to need to be brave and intentional about how we approach the work that we do. And that's what practicing compassionate badassery is really all about. Yes, it takes compassion and courage to show up to do the work, but it takes just as much, if not more courage, the badassery part, to approach our work in a way that is sustainable. Right? If we want to be well while we continue to care for others, then we're going to need to have the courage to do things differently, to recognize our own needs and tend to them without judging ourselves for having needs. We're going to need to learn how to set boundaries, even when it's really hard and painful to do that. When we do that, this can often put us at odds with our kind of helping culture and maybe even toxic workplace systems in which a lack of boundaries, a lack of self-care, overgiving, grinding productivity, and exhaustion are actually held up as the ideal. So in our course, we're going to talk about all of that, the choices that we make, the stories that we might need to push back on, and we're going to learn practical skills that research shows can help us stay well while we continue to help others. So in each one of the live sessions, I'm going to share practices for supporting our mind, our heart, our body, and our spirit that can help to reduce empathic distress and burnout. And we're going to learn why and how they work, in relation to your role as a caregiver or helper. And we're also going to explore why self-care and boundary setting is so hard for us to do. We're going to look at some of the stories and conditioning that we're carrying around with us that have really shaped the way that we care for ourselves as we do this work in the world. So I've been told that this class and versions of it that I have taught in the past can actually feel like self-care. So just by showing up and listening and talking and practicing together, that can feel like an act of self-care. So there's not going to be any homework to do. All you have to do is bring yourself, and we're going to practice compassionate badassery together. And I really hope that you'll join us.